Quiet.
Mr. President-elect,
Go ahead.
can you state
She's asking you a
categorically,
question. Don't
Mr.
be
President-elect, can you give us a question?
Don't be
You are
rude.
attacking us. Can you give us a question?
Don't be rude.
Can
No,
you
I'm
give
not
us a
going to give you a
question?
question. I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
Sir.
I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to Dave versus the MSM. I'd like to thank you for joining me today. We are available 24/7 at davejanda.com. Extra shows, extra content, extra guests, extra analysis, archives to all of our shows. We hope you become part of our Freedom family. Tremendous amount of free content at davejanda.com, but where the real meat of the matter is on issues myself and my guests cannot go into on any social media platform or on the radio is on our subscription content. 30 cents a day, $9 a month. For priceless content you will not get anywhere else. How do I know that? Because I don't supply content on any other platform. I have 35 years of contacts of people behind the curtain who provide me information months, if not years ahead of that globalist constructive curve that ends in a brick wall with the shattering of your freedoms and liberties. And to say that I'm already suppressed and censored and blocked and on every social media platform, and especially this one, and I can present information on that website that is censorship free that I cannot anywhere else. Try it for a month, $9. If you don't like it, get rid of it. But I don't know why. Because it's analogous to jumping in a lifeboat and then jumping out in the middle of the ocean, back in that deep sea of deep state created chaos. So we hope you become part of our Freedom family. I start with a quote from many, many years ago from Lord Gordon Hewitt. Actually, coming up on 100 years ago. In 1924, Lord Gordon Hewitt famously declared, quote, "Justice should not only be done," hard to believe in this day and age, huh? "but should manifestly and undoubtedly be seen to be done," end quote. The Lord Chief Justice of England, Lord Gordon Hewitt, believed that even a small allegation of possible bias by a court clerk meant justice was not seen to be done, and thus was not done. Which brings us to today's topic. Lawfare, Biden style, globalist cult style. Lawfare. First, people hear the term. I was just wandering around the People's Republic of Ann Arbor, and I was talking to some folks who had stopped me to, I don't know what you want to call it, give me grief for telling people the truth. And so let's talk about lawfare. What's that? Lawfare is the use of the legal systems and institutions to damage or delegitimize an opponent, or to deter individuals' usage of their legal rights. Sound familiar? The term may refer to the use of legal systems and principles against an enemy, such as by damaging or delegitimizing them and wasting their time and money, or winning a public relations victory. Can you say malicious prosecution in a nutshell? Lawfare also involves utilizing a legal system to protect the legal activity of an individual organization that is currently in power. Sound familiar? Let's give you a couple examples. A little meat on those bones. Quote, "Yes, they were being bribed," unquote. "Fired Ukrainian prosecutor corroborates the Biden corruption." Viktor Shokin, the fired Ukrainian prosecutor investigating the Biden family corruption that Trump was impeached for and was asking about when he made that famous call to Z-Man, Victor Shokin has spoken out for the first time since 2019 and says the Bidens did it. Quote, to review, Shokin had an active and ongoing investigation, this is from Zero Hedge, into Ukrainian energy company Burisma and its owner, Zhilshevsky, according to a 2020 U.S. Senate committee report. Now, Shokin has stated that he believes the Bidens were taking bribes. Oh, really? Shocking not. I mean, on our platform, we've been telling you this for, I don't know what, long before the 2020 election. Quote, this is Shokin. Quote, I do not want to deal in unproven facts, but my firm personal conviction is that, yes, this was the case. They were being bribed, Shokin told the outlet. Quote, the fact that Joe Biden gave away $1 billion. Remember that whole talk that he gave to the Council on Foreign Relations? Oh, yeah, I told him you weren't, and boom, and boom. And next thing you know, that's who Biden was talking about in that CFR talk, globalist cult extravaganza meeting. That was this. The fact that Joe Biden gave away $1 billion in U.S. money in exchange for my dismissal, my firing, isn't that alone a case for corruption? Yeah, it sure would be. But in this day and age of lawfare, that Lord Gordon Heward is flipping over in his grave over. And then, again, utilizing the legal system, right? Quid pro FU, Dad. This is from Zero Hedge. Hunter's lawyers threatened to force Joe to testify unless plea deal was reached. Hunter Biden's lawyers played heavy with the Department of Justice, effectively threatening to force force Joe Biden to testify in any criminal trial against first son if a plea agreement wasn't reached over his multiple alleged crime. You see, it's all about... I've told you my experience starting in 1988, starting in D.C., that Washington is all about leverage. This is a good example. This is all about leverage. And listen, these bribes. Remember, early on in Hunter's laptop, Hunter complains to family and friends that, I'm tired of doing all this legwork and Dad getting 50%. Okay. And then they refer later on to the big guy getting 10%. Wait a minute. If Biden was referred to Dad as getting 50%, he's not the big guy. And I've told you this for many months. The big guy was the big O. Do you honestly believe that the community money laundering organizer, that's how he was known in Chicago, by the way, as someone who grew up in Chicago, I can tell you this, a lot of contacts still there, yeah. If you didn't think he got a cut of the pie, I mean, how did good old Barry end up affording these multi-million-dollar mansions in Martha's Vineyard, where the paddleboard event with his wonderful chef ended up, getting going south in Obama-Quiddick. The mansion, multi-million-dollar mansion in Hawaii. The multi-million-dollar mansion in Chicago. The multi-million-dollar wall, the mansion wall. You should have walls on the southern border, but I'm going to put it around my house in Washington, D.C., along with maybe some other mansions around the world, supposedly kind of in the Far East, and 10% for the big guy, the big O. You see, this protecting Hunter is not about protecting Joe. It's protecting the chain of the command going up. And remember, do not fall into this garbage that Obama is the top of the food chain. The Bushes, the Clintons, the Obamas, the Romneys, the McConnells, the Ryans, you name all the scum in Washington across the board with a D or R after their name. They're all the same, the Republicrats. They are middle-level, but the Bushes, middle-level puppets. They're not the top of the food chain. Some might be a little trifle higher than the others, but they're not up the food chain. Up the food chain, let's do it one more time. Oh, I hate it when I do this. I get such negative blowback from the scum. Are the banking families. The Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Lazards, the Pinkases, the Warburgs, the Seifs, the Loebs, just to name a few. And the top The Payseur, Payseur family. So, but it's all about leverage. Whoever has leverage on somebody is going to be able to press the other into doing the dirty. And then we got this. Hey, does this make you feel really good? Lawfare, using the system? Leaked documents. Hunter Biden was involved in the Trump impeachment over Ukraine. Legal scholar, Hunter Biden. Right. You know, he's not doing coke and smoking Parmesan cheese out of the rug. No, he told CBS News that, remember? I played that clip on the radio a bunch of times on my radio show. Yeah. And not doing like hanging out with hookers and, you know. Hunter Biden was involved in Trump's impeachment over Ukraine, according to documents linked to Politico, no less. This is from Christina Lally. Hunter Biden's lawyer leaked the entire case file related to the Department of Justice 5-year investigation, and it's a sight to behold. According to emails leaked to Politico, Hunter Biden met with impeachment lawyers in January of 2020. Recall, in September of 2019, then Speaker Pelosi and House Democrats launched an impeachment inquiry into President Trump over his phone call with Ukrainian President Zelensky. World Economic Forum puppet. I mean kind by calling him a puppet. President Trump's phone call with Zelensky was cordial. There were no threats, no pressure, and no quid pro quo. Hunter Biden met with impeachment lawyers as Pelosi and Schiff were on the House floor lying about Trump's phone call with Zelensky. And then we have this. Weaponized collusion, lawfare. Well, you want the definition again? I mean, I think it's a good idea to repeat. Lawfare. Lawfare is the use of legal systems and institutions to damage or delegitimize an opponent or to deter individual usage of their legal rights. The term may refer to the use of legal systems and principles against an enemy, such as by damaging or delegitimizing them, wasting their time and money, like for frivolous suits, or winning a public relations victory. In other words, it's malicious prosecution. It also involves utilizing a legal system to protect illegal activity of an individual or organization in power. Okay. Weaponized collusion. Jack Smith, that great prosecutor, Jack Smith's team huddled with Biden White House before the Trump indictment. Well, wait. They said that they were independent, that they had nothing to do with the White House. Okay. From Zero Hedge, while Biden has repeatedly reclaimed that the Justice Department has full autonomy and isn't weaponized against political opponents, lawfare, a new report by the New York Post suggests otherwise. Just weeks before Special Counsel Jack Smith, he's special, all right, brought charges against Donald Trump for allegedly mishandling classified documents, one of his top aides met with the White House counsel's office, raising serious concerns about coordinated legal efforts against Biden's top political opponent going into the 2024 election. Their legal cases are weak because what are they talking about doing? We're going to, Gavin Newsom, we're going to make sure Trump isn't on the ballot. How third world-esque is that? I mean, you talk about Banana Republic stuff, that's it. But there are some Republicans that are pushing for that too. Can you say globalist cult puppets? It doesn't matter if they have an R or D. They're all one political party, as I've told you for 13 years on the radio. I saw it firsthand in 1988. It just wasn't as prevalent as it is now. They're all owned and operated by a criminal syndicate, the banking syndicate families. And they're there to do the dirty because they all got leverage on them. They're either bribed, they're either blackmailed, they're either coerced, but they're all controlled. Which is why you don't see anything moving ahead on prosecutions of the multiple levels of treason and sedition that has occurred over the years. So now they want to disqualify him. And what they're saying is, we're going to use the 14th Amendment to do that. Well, wait a minute. They're saying, well, he was involved in insurrection. Okay. So while Hunter Biden was cozying up to the impeachment lawyers, and remember impeachment 1, impeachment 2, impeachment 1 was about the Ukraine thing, that Trump was actually, I mean, look, I have my issues with him, but he was right. Everything he said has turned out to be correct. And Show can confirm that, right? Okay. 2, the second impeachment was out, that event in January 2021, and insurrection. And he was impeached by a biased globalist cult House of Representatives, and he went on trial for that insurrection. And he was found innocent. He was found innocent in the Senate. There wasn't exactly a large majority for the Republicans, right? Can you say 50-50? He was found innocent. And there's such a thing called double jeopardy in this country. So how can you hold him and say the 14th Amendment says, well, because people are involved in insurrection, well, they can't hold office? He already had his trial in the Senate. And he was not convicted. The disqualification of Donald Trump and other legal urban legends. This by legal scholar, constitutional scholar, George Washington University Law School professor Jonathan Turley. Below is my position on the increasingly popular theory that former President Donald Trump is already barred from office under the 14th Amendment. It is a theory that, in my view, with a political appeal that outstrips its constitutional support. In other words, it's bogus. One of the most popular today is that former President Donald Trump can be barred from office, even if he's not convicted in any of the 4 indictments he faces under a long dormant clause of the 14th Amendment. The 14th Amendment theory is something that good liberals will read to their children at night. It goes something like this. Donald Trump can never be president again because the 14th Amendment bars that, and those who previously took federal oaths from assuming office if they engaged in insurrection or rebellion. With that, and a kiss on the forehead, a progressive child can sleep peacefully through the night. But don't look under the bed. For as scary as it might sound to some, Trump can indeed take office if he is elected, even if he's convicted. Indeed, he can serve as president, even in the unlikely scenario that he's sentenced to jail. Globalists, he says Democrats, but really globalists, doesn't matter they got a D or R, have long pushed this theory about the 14th Amendment as a way of disqualifying not only Trump, but also dozens of Republican members to get the job done. But some of us like to believe that we're committed to the Constitution, and for that same reason, we say no. That this cannot be used as a means of blocking anyone from assuming office. Which is why you see them panicking. And you see them now saying, like Newsom, I'm going to introduce legislation so that Trump can be banned from the ballot. Look, no matter how much you despise Trump, okay? No matter how much, doesn't that send off alarm bells in your head? They're trying to prevent somebody from being on the ballot? Come on, man. As Biden said, come on, man. Right? How third world-esque. It doesn't get any more third world-esque than that. And the latest indictment, Lawfare indictment, was in Georgia, right? And when you boil it all down, what they're prosecuting Trump on in Georgia is criminalizing thought and criminalizing protected speech under the First Amendment. That is the hallmark of a totalitarian thug regime. Okay? Because It can be said against you, too. Every person in our country. Criminalizing thought. Criminalizing free speech. Some friends of mine, along with myself, did some research saying, who funded particularly this Georgia thing, this Georgia Lawfare goat rodeo? Well, the name that came up was the National Science Foundation. National Science Foundation, $9.9 billion budget from federal taxpayer money every year, $9.9 billion. When you look at the National Science Foundation site, quote, it's an independent, use that term very lightly, agency of the United States federal government which supports research into the non-medical sciences and engineering. A similar organization, its counterpart, is the NIH, that funds medical science. So this National Science Foundation deals with science-related research, right, and engineering. Why do I bring that up? Did the National Science Foundation, a U.S. government-funded organization, fund the work behind the case against Trump in Fulton County, Georgia? A grant was issued to the Brookings Institute, a nonprofit organization, very globalist directed, on September 1st, 2021. And they issued a report based on that funding in October of 2021. The Brookings Institute was paid in a grant of $475,000 by the National Science Foundation that's supposed to be funding science and engineering. Well, what was the name of that report? The Fulton County, Georgia's Trump Investigation. Does that sound like science to you and engineering? An analysis of the reported facts and applicable law. And in fact, if you look at this prosecutor, Fannie Wallace, she's a piece of work if you go through her history. Fannie Wallace, essentially, when you look at what she filed, just had a copy and paste the report to create the case against Trump. By the way, one of the authors of that report that was funded for $475,000 is a dude named Don Ayer. Well, that scientist, that engineer, previously wrote an article for the Atlantic magazine in August of 2021 entitled, "The Department of Justice Must Prosecute Trump." That's beyond lawfare. Okay? It's beyond lawfare. It's criminal conspiracy. Lord Gordon Hewitt is beyond turning over in his grave. He's like a propeller in his grave. Just on what I presented to you today. All of us should be, but not in our grave. You see, folks, 99% of the people you know nothing about what I just discussed. You need to educate them about lawfare, about everything I discussed today, about the criminal conspiracy behind what's occurring in our own legal system. This is a huge problem, folks. And they want it swept under the rug because that's the only way they can protect themselves. That's where you become involved. And your role is critical in educating and enlightening and empowering every person you know. Because anyone who hears this information and says, that's no big deal, get the heck away from them. Because at a minimum, they're a sociopath. And at a maximum, they're a psychopath. The evidence is overwhelming of the criminality of the system. And the only way you address that criminality is to expose it to the light of truth and sunlight. And that's where you come in educating and empowering as many people as possible. And then going to your representatives. I use that term loosely. They only represent themselves and the syndicate, not us, who supposedly they're supposed to. Just tell them peacefully. We're aware of the con, okay? This whole thing about lawfare, this whole thing that... Show them this video. Say, what are you going to do about it? Don't give me this Jim Jordan-esque thing where I'm going to take my sport coat off, roll up my sleeves, loosen my tie, and then do nothing. Right? I mean, really. Seems like a nice guy. Gets nothing done. A lot of talk. All hat, no cattle. Like all of them. Not just him, all of them. Because they're all leveraged. Like Hunter leveraged Dad. Right? Got to expose it, folks. It's not a spectator sport. The future of our constitutional republic's on the line. Step up. Speak to others. They might not like it, what you're telling them. Show them this video. Let me be the bad guy. But they need to know it. As a physician that took care of people 32 years in the front line of healthcare delivery, there are a number of patients whose tests came back that were very bad results. There's two things I could have done when I got those bad results. I could have hidden the information, walked in that exam room, and told that patient, your results are perfect. And that person would have walked out with a smile on their face. But they'd be dead in a box within 6 months. Or, what I chose to do was sit down and have a heart-to-heart talk about what tests did come back that were positive, but what tests that did come back were troublesome. And then, after we shine the light on those tests, what steps we could do to make it so that that person would have many years of life ahead of them. The steps needed. But the first part of it was transparency. Not hiding anything. Not pretending it didn't exist. But addressing it. When I would address those issues as transparent and as caring as possible, there are two reactions I get. One, where the person would say, why me? And it's a great question that only God can answer. But the people who were survivors, after they got done saying, why me? Would then say, okay, what do we have to do to move on, to address this? The other response I would get is people who would say, you're wrong. I'd say, well, I hope so, but unfortunately I don't think these numbers, these tests, because it's not just one test we're relying on, it's a multitude, but I would encourage people to get a second opinion, third opinion, fourth opinion. But the people, and some did, which is good. But there were some people that became very angry and said, I'm not getting a second opinion. I don't believe the test results. I'm out of here. And those people that walked away, those people that decided to sit on the couch, those people that decided that they weren't going to investigate what they could do to rectify those bad results, those people that decided not to get a second opinion or third opinion or fourth opinion, the people that just got mad and just decided to sit on the couch because, well, that's how they were going to handle it. Unfortunately, those people never did well. We're in a similar state, not with a medical condition, if you will, but with our entire country at this point. And it's up to each and every one of us not to sit on the couch, but to shed light, transparency on what's occurring, because people watching the bought-off lamestream fake media will have no knowledge of any of this, which is the whole idea of why they're a tentacle of the syndicate that's perpetrating these heinous crimes. We need to identify it, and then we need to bring as many people into our room, freedom-based room. Say, okay, everybody's on the same page. Now, let's call out the perpetrators. Let's peacefully address them and hold them accountable through a legal system that will not be based on lawfare. Because there still are some good people in the legal profession, and even that are sitting on the judicial benches, as we've had some actually pretty positive decisions that nobody wants to talk about in the bought-off lamestream fake media go freedom's way. But we need to put lawfare on trial, and the people pushing lawfare on trial. And that only comes with each and every one of us enlightening as many people as possible of what's going on, and then outlining to our elected representatives, and again I use that term loosely, at the federal, state, and local level, about we're wise to what they're up to or what they're not up to, and they got to move off a dead center and do something for freedom. And if they're not willing to, then we will find someone to run against them in the primary to replace them and their big fat leather chairs. It's really important. I thank you for your time today. We are available 24/7 at davejanda.com. I hope you join us there. We have a tremendous amount of free public information content. But where the real meat of the matter is, that you will not get from any other source, because I do not provide content anywhere else. And again, it's not just me. It's all the contacts behind the curtain I've developed over 35 years that I'm not aware of anyone else having. And that's how we can prevent you from being targeted. Well, you can always be targeted, but becoming a casualty, if you will, of the globalist cult. We put you ahead of that globalist constructive curve that ends in a brick wall, with the shattering of your freedoms, liberties, future, life, and constitutional republic. And we provide you that off-ramp. Until next time, Dave Janda signing off. Dream big and dare to fail. Thanks for your time today.